Hello, you beautiful people. Hello, Becky. Good evening. My camera arm is failing me. Make sure everything's good. Hello, hello, hello. Why does it not say I'm live yet? This is not going to work. Come on. Refresh. There we go. Okay. Okay. It says I'm live now. I'm just having all of the technical issues today. Good afternoon. Okay, it's only 10 a.m. here, so we're still morning for me. But happy to have you, Travis. And Becky, if you are still here, happy to have you. So good evening, good afternoon, good night, or good morning. Seems I have all of the time represented. I am dripping water all over this. Yes, good afternoon. Illustrated. Happy to have you. Would have much rather had my regular video, but having some issues with that. I have no idea what's going on. I am not tech savvy enough, and after 3 weeks of frustrations, I figure it's the universe telling me this video is just not meant to be. So time to work on my next video. I actually have an art project for next Sunday, so let's see now. Where was I? Like I want to work on this tree, and I need to get out the right color green for that. I'm gonna need some dark greens first. So I gotta figure out where all of the shadows are gonna be for this tree, so I could put in the dark leaves and then go through with some brighter and brighter ones. I also need to add some yellow into these bushes. I realized that yet last night that these need just a touch of yellow. My sped up clips have been fine. So like my sketchbook cover that I've been painting, like I don't know, that was the last because I've been doing them in batches. The last batch was like 380 minutes and I sped it down into like 4 minutes. That rendered fine. It was just like the one video because it was mainly just me talking and kind of like adding in clips of my prior art projects, going over like my top art, at least the art that I like the most for 2025. Just the middle one, for some reason, kept crashing. I have part of the ending done and I have 9 minutes of the beginning done, but that middle just kept crashing and all of my edits, and it would only do it when I'd start to render it. And I can't figure out exactly what's going on with it. It's just super frustrating. And then I'd lose all my edits. And then after 3 times of trying to get this video done to upload for a Sunday, I figure it's just time to move on. Stop trying to hold on to it. It's okay. It's just an art review video. It's nothing too big. If it was an art video, I definitely would spend a lot more time trying to fix it and figure out how to share that video. Well, I mean, my art does take a long time when I'm doing like the high detail stuff. I've only worked on the foreground in my lives, and I think I have like what, six lives that are one's 2 hours long and the others are 3 hours long. So like, yeah, just this little foreground part that I've worked on has eaten up a lot of time. Granted, I talking with everybody has slowed me down a little bit, but that's pretty on point for how long it takes me to get some of these art pieces done, these paintings. My longest painting took me 153 hours. And I have quite a few that have taken more than 100 hours. But I get so lost in the painting process that like I'm kind of okay with that. I feel like there's a lot worse things in life I could be spending my time on. You got to make sure you're drinking your water. I have my water. It's always right next to me. Otherwise, like I get nasty migraines if I'm dehydrated. I also have a cup of coffee because it is morning for me. And I have finally started the tree. I have been putting off starting this tree for so long. I have a feeling this tree is going to take me a minute. It'll probably be the whole 3 hours on just this little tree right there. I do totally get that. I'll get sucked in. Just the other night while I was painting, I got sucked into painting, and I started at 8 p.m. and the next thing I knew it was like close to midnight, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." I thought it would have only been 10. Oh, I could kind of see that just because of the way the clouds are going. I wanted the clouds to kind of like appear above the tree, so that's why I kind of have it doing this like backward C shape. Because I knew I wanted to put the tree right here, like from the very start of the painting. So I wanted to try to have the sky kind of cater around it a little bit, but I kind of like that, a cherry blossom melting into the sky. Maybe a future art project or a painting. That could be fun. And the sky is going to look a lot more pink here soon. Adding in all of this green in the tree is really going to highlight all of the reds and the pinks in the sky. For the most part, I'm self-taught. When I was in college, I did go for astronomy and um, social work, but I did take some electives, and I took two basic art classes, and then just like a couple other classes I could have fun with. Like, I took a graphic communication class so I could try to learn digital art. I didn't really care for it as much, and then I also like took a ceramics class. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed taking ceramics. But then like I took drawing 101, drawing 102, so they kind of just covered like the absolute bare bones basics of like color theory, rendering, lighting. I mainly just took them because I wanted to be able to take an art class and have kind of a fun class. Because I was, I don't know how I did it, but I was double majoring at the same time and taking 24 credits each semester, which is like an entire year's worth of college courses in a single semester. So I was doing that every semester. I needed a fun class just to kind of like give me a break. If I were to continue, I would definitely go more into fine arts. I definitely feel like I could use some educating on like galleries. I get told a lot like I should put my art in galleries. I've tried before in the past and I was like quickly shot down like I'm just a nobody, I'm not known, and um I got told quite a bit that my art is elementary, so like that really shot me down. And I wasn't really interested after that of trying to get into a gallery, but I've had a lot of people since then tell me like you need to get your art into a gallery. So I wouldn't mind taking a course on learning how to, apply and put together a portfolio for gallery classes or for galleries. That is definitely knowledge I would like. Uh, for the most part, yes, you can. You get so many electives that you have to take. This is for Becky. You have so many electives you have to take for any one of your degrees, and a lot of people will supplement it like with a language class or just another fun class. And I've absolutely loved art for as long as I could live, so I wanted to supplement it with art classes. So every semester, that was how I knocked out my electives. I would take all my core classes and then I would have one fun art class. The only problem with it is some of the art classes just are not worth as many credits as other classes, even though like you still have exams and there's still studying and testing that you have to do for them. Like my ceramics class was only worth half the credits of all my other classes, but I still had to take it for a semester and it still had like the same amount of coursework. I had a lot of fun in that class, but I didn't like how it was only worth half the credits. Like a normal course is worth 3 or 4 credits, but my ceramics class was worth 1.5 credits. Oh, how is it like over where you're at, Becky? Because it also depends on the degree. Um, a lot of degrees now require like they took languages out of electives and they made them requirements. So there's a lot of degrees now where you have to take a second language in order to get your degree, which honestly, like, I kind of wish I would have taken a second language. Spanish would have probably been very helpful, but there's not a lot of schools here in this country that offer second languages. So a lot of it was line work. When I did line work, which you can see like in this rock right here, I don't really do line work anymore. Some of my artwork I still do, but I've kind of moved away from doing line work, and it's actually because of that. Because they're like, your line work makes your art look elementary, or shading. One of the things that they would point out is like with this bush right here, everything is so vivid that they would say like it takes away from the shading, and there's no variation in the amount of light hitting it. And so like it would just like they would just critique the heck out of my artwork, and so I was just kind of like, okay, well, maybe I wasn't cut out to be an artist, even though I have fun with it. And that was like the main thing that they would always say is your work looks very elementary. Just And I'm like, well, you guys are the ones making money with your art. You're the instructors. You're the ones running galleries. So I guess you know what you're talking about. Oh, how interesting. Yeah, here like they do have when you choose your degree, when you're going through your major, like with social work, there were courses that you absolutely had to take, and they are requirements for your degree. But then you also have like um, kind of like vague subjects. So like uh, you would have to take like now you'd have to take a language. They don't pick which language you have to take. You can choose which language you would want to take. And then you can also go into like psychology classes, and it would list out different psychology classes you could take, or like you could go into sociology, take a sociology class, a psychology class, or a philosophy class, or even early childhood development class, and that would count towards that part of your credit. But then there were other ones where you absolutely had to take, like you had to take English. You had to take like certain English classes, you had to take certain math classes, you had to take certain science classes. So there, it was kind of like broken up. You had your core classes you had to take, you had more vague classes you could take, and then you had your electives, which you could pick whichever you wanted for your electives. You could even take like other, like any classes to count towards your electives. So like if I were to take a bunch of math classes, which math does interest me. I love math. So I could have taken a whole bunch of math classes, and the math classes would have counted towards my elective after filling up the math requirement for my degree. Hello, Space Hero. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, whichever time it is for you. Good morning, Asuna. I'm gonna be doing lives all the time. I want to try to make sure I'm doing at least every other week, but so far it's been turning into every week. I've really been enjoying them, and I've been getting work done. That's like the most important thing. So, well, good night. My day is it's still morning for me, but it's coming up to midday. I absolutely agree with you, Illustrated. It was just what they said. It discouraged me for a little bit. Like I honestly, right after college, after that, I kind of like slowed down with my art, and I ended up going into logistics. That was like the warehouse work I was going into, fulfillment and logistics, and it paid really well. I just the work is not for me. I can't stand the way they treat people. Everybody's so disposable and replaceable, and I hate that mentality. I don't feel like people are ever dispensable or replaceable. Did that for 3 years, and before I was just like, I need to get into something else. And then I went into um, care, like branch of healthcare, more providing care services for individuals who need additional help navigating society, individuals with learning disabilities, cognitive disabilities. I absolutely loved that job. That was probably one of the best jobs I've ever had in my life. It was just my boss. My clients all loved me. It was just the boss. Like there were some things for Nevada, we have to follow a lot of certain laws when it comes to like free will. We're not allowed to make choices for the clients, even if it's the right choice to make. We can't force those choices on our clients. Everything has to be their own, by their own choosing. And she just did not understand that there were lots of clients who that would make choices she did not like, and she felt that they were wrong, And then like if they were one of my clients, I would get in trouble for the client making that choice, even though like let's say it was for a dinner. The client would, this happened quite a bit. The client would just eat donuts for dinner. Now, I, working with that client, would like make them something for dinner and give them the option of something healthy. Like, I would do meal planning a lot with my clients and cook them a week's worth of meals at the same time, make sure that they're hitting all of the nutrition that they needed, all of their macros, like whatever the doctors were saying. And I would have those ready for them. And I would make it as easy as possible for them to choose the healthy option. They had ready stuff that they didn't have to cook or stuff that could just be microwaved and ready to go. But if the client just chose donuts, like I can't stop them. It's just I can only help encourage them towards that. But I would be the one that would get in a lot of trouble for that kind of stuff. Even like if I wasn't there at their home when they decided to eat like a box full of donuts. And so I didn't really like that. Or like if a client wore something and she's like, well, that doesn't look very professional. I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, well, this is their normal life. Like they're allowed to wear comfortable clothing. And she's like, well, if they're going to come into, because we had an office space where they could come in, do crafts, and be with other clients, socialize. Well, if they're going to come in, they need to look professional. They need to look good. It's going to reflect poorly on the company if they're coming in basketball shorts and a t-shirt. And so, like, I just couldn't take that anymore because she was just way too controlling over the clients. And I'm like, they have free will and they're allowed to have their free will. Hello, Willow. You know what? Like, sometimes you just need some donuts for dinner. Like, yeah, I don't think it's that big of an issue. Especially because, like, the food would get eaten. But there were just clients. She just did not understand how to work with the clients. And unfortunately, like, I had to have a degree for my position. But as the owner, she did not have to have a degree. She never took any kind of social work class. She never took any kind of like even nonprofit work like degree to own a nonprofit and to run it. And I did not understand how the state would approve that kind of stuff. She could just start whatever without a degree, but every one of her employees by the state had to have a degree and be certified. That was one thing I just never understood. Like, why is that a thing? You would think that the owner should absolutely have to be certified and have a degree as well. Yes, you're right, Asuna. You can absolutely be comfortable and still look good. But a lot of the clients, they had like textile issues, and so a lot of the clothes that the owner would like make, that was another thing that I really did not like. She would spend the client's money on things that she thought they should have. So like one client, she used their money to buy a whole bunch of business slacks and dress shirts, even though the client didn't like any of that stuff because of the way it felt. And I was just like, you didn't have the right to spend that client's money. Like, I understand you are in control of the bank account to make sure that they don't just spend it on whatever, but you shouldn't be allowed to spend it on whatever either. There was just a lot of disagreements there, and then it finally, like, after she screamed at me in front of the clients, I kind of I just said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Like, because if you're going to scream at me in front of the clients, what you're telling the clients is it's okay to do that to me. They don't understand. They just see that's the way you're treating me, so they're going to think that's the way they also need to treat me. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. She was playing Sims with their lives. Just because she's like, they can't understand better. They don't know better. Like this, clients know what they want with their lives, and they can understand. You just got to give them the option and encourage them to choose the right option. She was. I know why I ended up taking that particular job, and it was because she actually reminded me a lot of my mom, and I was still going through my therapist and working on myself. Didn't understand exactly like that. Just to put it bluntly, I didn't understand I had mommy issues, and so like that was one of the things I like why I was staying there is because she was treating me the same way my mother treated me. And so it was, even though it wasn't nice, it wasn't pleasant, it was a comfort thing. It's what I knew. And since I had been treated like that for so long in my life, I it felt natural and right, even though it wasn't. And so like that was just the final straw was when she like was screamed at me in front of the clients. Like before then, it was always like in her office and away from the clients. But the just when once she moved on to in front of the clients, that was it. I was done. Yep, it's what I knew, so it felt normal. It's not normal though. But I do occasionally still see my clients. I can't like actually go out and contact them or have any kind of real relationship with them as much as I would love that because I was with them for so long. They became like my family. But when I'm out in the wild, like shopping and going to the store, sometimes playing Pokemon Go, I'll run into the clients. I've even run into a couple of them at some of the protests. They were there with their families, and that was really nice. So I do still get to see them. Just it has to be like a natural occurrence, which I feel very fortunate because so many of the clients had memory issues and they would like after so long forget their prior caregivers, but so many of them remember me very fondly. So that also really warms my heart. I do play Pokemon Go. I've played Pokemon Go since April of 2016. I beta tested it for my area. That was a lot of fun. And then I, um, I don't know if Lizard's here, but Frosty Lizard is one of my Pokemon Go friends. I would get raid groups together and we would go all over town, like all coordinated with people. Like people would post on Discord their location and what raids they had near them. And so then I would like create a map of like, we're going to hit this raid, this raid, this raid, this raid, and we're going to go in this order to optimize time. And if you can only make one, go to the one that's closest to you. We'll have a group going. And I would have like on a regular basis, like a group of 15 to 30 people just like going along with me to hit all of the raids. I really miss that. That was, I think, the closest humanity's ever been to world peace was when Pokemon Go first came out. Dude, the when Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos came out into raids for the very first time, everybody was losing their minds. Oh, that was so great. And I remember like, and it was in Ohio. So, some Pokemon Go player ended up like getting an Articuno and putting it into a gym before like the raids even actually became a thing. And it was a mistake they got him. It was like a glitch within the game. Their Pidgeot had turned into an Articuno or something. And I remember everybody freaking out like, somebody's got an Articuno. It's in a gym. I play occasionally. I try to hit the community days and some of the events, but it's now that like Niantic has sold it's really become such a money grab. I don't know the name of the company that owns it now, but I know it's like a company in Dubai now owns Pokemon Go, something like that. It's a company out on that side of the world that now owns it, and it's just such a money grab now. Everything costs so much money on it. They used to do so many free events. and like everybody would benefit for it. But now like it's just, if you want any of the great benefits for the events, you got to buy the ticket for the event, and it just adds up so quickly. Like I know it's only like $1.99, although some of them now are like $10 for really nothing. No worries, Travis. I appreciate you stopping by. We had a couple incidents like that too, of people walking into traffic. My favorite one here in Reno, and it made the news. There was somebody who was driving and playing Pokemon Go, and it was up the street from me, but the street tees, and they were playing Pokemon Go going up this way. They found a rare Pokemon, so they went to catch it. Of course, they didn't stop at the stop sign. And instead of like slamming on the brakes because they saw the cross traffic doesn't have a stop, they like turned their wheel and it caused them to spin out and go into somebody's backyard. Luckily, nobody was hurt. It just took out their shed. But when the police showed up, the police were playing Pokemon Go. So like they had the guy in handcuffs standing next to the police car, and he had wrecked because he was playing Pokemon Go, while the police were off standing to the side also playing Pokemon Go. And that made the news here. It just like how ridiculous that was, that the police were playing Pokemon Go, responding to a guy who crashed because he was playing Pokemon Go. I agree with you, Asuna. There are a couple events that like the rating. I absolutely used to spend money on the rating, but with the raid group, like because I was hosting them and putting them together, people like pooled together like a donation pot, and it would pay for raids for me and gas to like host everything. I would also buy like gift cards and other like fun things just to do like Pokemon quizzes for whoever was there and give prizes out, especially to kids, just to kind of like make it even more fun and special. So we did like have a local little prize pool people would pull into just so like I could afford to host the raids and coordinate everything. And then like I would also have gift cards. So like if somebody was there and they just couldn't afford to raid with us, like I would give them like a $5 gift card so that they could buy some raid passes and still get the Pokemon and just be part of the group. So like I really tried to take care of my community with that. And I would buy some of the events then, but it just like that was when they were like maybe once every 3 months they had a paid event, and now it's literally every week there's a paid event. Thank you. I tried to make it a lot of fun. We did that for community days when they first got started too. We actually got like a group together and where I had like 8 other people working with me, and we would organize events for every community day, and we would get prizes and hand out prizes to people and get like these huge groups together. We actually even started partnering up with one of our local malls because they would see the crowds coming in, and so like they also started donating stuff to our prize pools and hosting bigger events. And then COVID hit and everything kind of like stopped after that, which was unfortunate. I would like to try to get it back up and going, but so many people just do not play anymore. I've reached out to so many of the old players, they just don't play anymore. And it's all the same thing. The game's just gotten too expensive. Like even the community days now like are paid events. Like you can still join for free, but if you want the good stuff, you gotta pay to join in for the community days. It was a lot of fun. I remember probably the best one was when Detective Pikachu came out, and we partnered up with the movie theater in this mall. We got a whole bunch of free tickets. We got so many free tickets from them. It was basically like, and they were all for the same time, and it was for like opening night. But because they had given our group so many free tickets for this one showing, it was almost like we had completely rented out the movie theater. I had never seen a movie theater do something like that before. And it was so much fun. Everybody there were like the people I would play Pokemon Go with. It was just like 100 something people all in this theater, all watching Detective Pikachu together. It really was like we had rented out the movie theater, even though like the movie theater had donated almost all of the tickets just so like our giant group could go. That was probably one of my favorite memories from playing Pokemon Go was just having everybody I played Pokemon Go with in the movie theater with us, all watching Detective Pikachu. That was so much fun. I might try to go back to like my old stopping hours. I've moved since then, so like I'm no longer super close to that mall. Really close to some other areas that are really big for community days. But I might try to go to like the old mall for Grookey, which is coming up. I think it's next week for Grookey's Community Day. Or is it today? And I'm just like out of the loop. I know it's coming up, and I think it would kind of be fun to go back to the old mall, see if anybody's still playing. He is such a cute little Pokemon. I was kind of like surprised at how much hate the Galar starters got. I kind of like them. I like Inteleon. He's my favorite of them all, but I think they're all really solid designs. How's it going, Nookling? I believe it's either afternoon or early evening for you. I gotta say, like, I started with Sobble first, and I didn't use it in my original playthrough. Like, I still evolved Sobble into Inteleon, but I did a mono bug team, so all the bug Pokemon I could catch, like, I just made that my team. I had like Frosmoth, Vespiquen, Shuckle, Durant, Galvantula, Centiskorch, and there were a couple others that I had backups. Oh, a Araquanid, and so I would like switch out between them all. But I did use Grookey in my Violet playthrough on the DLC. I evolved it into a Rillaboom and used Rillaboom quite a bit, and he was a lot of fun. I think I had more fun using Rillaboom than I did in Teleon. Might need to go play through my Shield version again, start a new game. I think my hubby likes Grookey as well. Do you like Grookey more or Score Bunny? You like Score Bunny more. I guess I should have known that. He is a soccer or football player, so that makes more sense. But he does like he has mimicked like the banging of the stick quite a bit, so although this painting's gonna have Cinderace in it. Score Bunny's final evolution. He's gonna be going right over here. Oh, so you guys got them all. I guess that made it easy to make sure you guys got all of your starters. Grookey, I do think Grookey has like one of the strongest designs for the Gen 8 starters. I do think they're all good designs, but I do think Grookey has like one of the strongest. It also helps that Rillaboom is really well for works really well for the competitions. It's kind of like Incineroar. Competitively viable. That's what I was looking for. There were a couple. The only thing that I don't like about Cinderace, and it's not like I hate it, it's just kind of like is its Gigantamax. I think its Gigantamax looks a little too goofy. I mean, Inteleon's not much better, turning its freaking tail into a tower, but like there was just something about Cinderace's G-Max. I was just kind of like, it's not my favorite. I think Rillaboom has the best G-Max, and then Inteleon, and then Cinderace. It sounded like someone was fighting outside my window for a second. It was just my neighbor's mom came to visit him. I love that his mom gets super excited. And she gets very loud when she's excited. It makes me laugh. You're probably not that old. It's just Pokemon stuff. Talking about our game. Pokemon turns 30 this year. So like Pokemon isn't like a young kids thing anymore. It is definitely like what Disney was to the adults in my life when I was a little kid. Because Disney was like maybe 40, 50 years old. Let's see. About 50 years old because I was born in the 80s. So like, yeah, it was like Disney to the adults back then. It's very much so like a kids entertainment company, but all of the adults around me had grown up with Disney. So they were very much into Disney. And now Pokemon's turning freaking 30 next month. That makes me feel old because I remember when it first hit the States for the very first time and blew all of my friends and myself's minds. All of the snow melted. We got one day last week with some snow. Oh, I shouldn't say all of it. We have one little patch that's just in the shade that has some snow on it still. But we've only gotten one day, which is very unusual for us because we'll typically get like multiple days of snow. This is the first time being in Reno since I moved here, oh my gosh, 12 years ago, that we don't really have snow this winter. You're not that much older than me. I'm gonna be 40 next month. My 30s are done. You're definitely like when I was growing up. Like I would have probably like still wanted to hang around. I like hanging around teenagers, and when I was really little, I felt so cool being around the teenagers. So like I probably like had I known you in person, probably would have been like trying to be your best friend. There was in my elementary school we had a partnership with the junior high and the high school where we could write letters to any other student within the school. And there was a group of girls that I thought they were so cool. They always had their hair done and they looked like they were on TV. and I would send them letters all the time. I was like in the second grade, and they were, I think, 15 or 16 years old, and I would just send them all these letters, just telling them how beautiful I thought they were, and like they looked like they were on TV, and then telling them about my day, and they would always respond to me. They were very sweet. So like, yeah, you're in the age group I probably would have been like, I want to be your best friend. I want some of your coolness. Happy early birthday. You're not too young either. I just have like the if you're under 18, I prefer you like, yeah. I am an adult. I want to like gear more towards the adults. As long as you're an adult, you're fine. I've already had to tell like one. I think he's like 9 years old. On Instagram, he tried messaging me, and I checked the profile because like I checked the profile of everybody who sends me messages, and I was like, "Is this an adult account or is this a kid account?" And he was like, "I'm 9. This is a kid account," and I was like, "Please don't message me. Nothing personal. Just please don't message me. You can comment on my stuff in public. Don't send me any messages, please." He's been respectful about that though, so I got to give it to him. Like, I appreciated he didn't fight me on that. Yeah, you must have gotten the snow like it came through us and then went out towards the east. So you probably got the remnants of that storm that hit us, and it was just there was not a lot of snow. Really hoping we get some more. There's a lot of people in town really mad about their ski passes. Because even like Lake Tahoe just has not gotten the snow they normally get. I saw that the UK got some snow. A lot of my friends are just like, "Oh, we got snow," and Cassie and Chantel also like had to add in the snow to their video, which I don't know why. Like, I just never really looked at the weather patterns of the UK. In my mind, it was like, "Oh, the UK must get a lot of snow because you guys are so much further north than we are." So I'm about 3 hours away from about three and a half hours away from the Pacific Ocean. The closest major city to me is San Francisco, and so like I've been out there. I gotta say I do love the Pacific Ocean. I've been to the Atlantic and I've been to the Pacific, and I like the Pacific a lot more than the Atlantic. It's warmer. Also, I think there's prettier fish in the sea for the Pacific Ocean. Not that there's anything wrong with the fish in the Atlantic. Like, I do like my tuna, but I just think like the fish along the coastline in the Pacific are a little bit prettier. And the starfish, like there are some very colorful starfish in the Pacific Ocean. You're landlocked though. But I haven't been to the Great Lakes. That's on my list. I do want to go to Niagara Falls. I want to go see the Great Lakes. What I really would like to do is go on like one of those ghost ship tours. I think it's Lake Superior has the ghost ship tours where they take you to all of like the different shipwrecks, and they have the glass bottom boats where on clear days you can see through the bottom and you can kind of see the shipwrecks that are in Lake Superior. I really want to do that. I absolutely agree with you, Asuna. It's a big problem when we don't get snow. It keeps all that water soaks into the ground, keeps the vegetation hydrated so that we don't have wildfires. Not so much for like Vegas, because Vegas gets the runoff from the Colorado River, but like up north here in northern Nevada, yeah, all that snow is very important because that's the majority of the water for the wildlife. That's probably what it is. Because when I was a kid, I'd been to Monterey Bay. It was probably one of my favorite like coastal cities in California, and the Monterey Bay Aquarium is amazing. So that's probably why I'm partial to the Pacific Ocean. I went there quite a few times, and they have otters. Like you gotta love the otters. I absolutely love the way that they would play. They are such a playful little animal. Although I will say I got mad at them. I just like that memory just popped up. I got really mad at the otters because they stole my hot dog. It's my fault because I set the hot dog down so I could try and open up my mustard, and then like it got snatched and I lost my hot dog. And I was really upset with them for stealing my hot dog. I I don't like I like looking at eels. Like I have no issues looking at them, and I think they're kind of cool creatures. I'm not a fan of eating them. I do not like unagi. My husband's in the background going, "Yum!" He loves unagi. I'm not a fan of unagi or octopus or squid. Like those are the not a fan of any of those. Fish, I'm okay with. Crab, I'm okay with. Shrimp, I'm okay with. I haven't tried smoked eel. I've had raw, and I've had, I think it was deep fried, and I just didn't really care for it. I would be willing to try it prepared other ways, though. I do, as an adult, I try my best to try any other food that's given to me. If the opportunity presents itself, I try to eat it. It's gotten me into trouble. In 2007, I went out to India. My family at the time, my mom was working for HSBC, and they took her out to Kolkata. So I went out and visited them once. Went to New Delhi, Agra, Kolkata. Got to try a whole bunch of different stuff. Unfortunately, I did not know what chocolate soup was, and I tried it. I thought it was really delicious at the time, although I will never have it again. If you don't know what chocolate soup is, it's blood soup. And I just had no idea. They just brought it out. I was just like, "Oh, this looks interesting," and I'll try everything, like just to give it a try. Especially since I was in India, I was like, "There's a whole bunch of food here I've never even heard of or had before in my life. Try as much of it as you can." It was good. Kind of messed me up a little bit because, like, after I found out what it was like going through my own little existential crisis because I was like, I liked it. I can't believe I liked it. But it was one of, as far as I can remember, is one of the most delicious things I've ever had in my life. But I got to try it once. And after that, after they told me, after I'd eaten it, they told me what it was, and I was kind of like, okay, I don't know if I could finish this now. Yeah, it is a thing out there. It's a dish, and it was, like I said, it's a very weird soup. It's chocolate colored. That's why they call it chocolate soup. And it was really good. Just the whole mental thing after finding out what it was is what really like I don't know if I could eat any more of this. I actually like another thing that was in this video I'm a little upset by was my favorite recipe I had made for the holidays, pumpkin jalapeno soup. It's one of my favorite vegetarian dishes that I make. I'll still have to share the recipe. I have it all recorded. That video is fine. So I can add it into a future video, but I definitely want to like share that recipe with everybody. I've been using this recipe since like what, 2015? Yeah, about 2015 is when I started like using this recipe for pumpkin jalapeno soup. I definitely want to share it because whenever I go to potlucks, I know that there's vegetarians and vegans there, and they would always get left out of the potlucks. So this was my go-to dish because it's vegan. I can use coconut milk and olive oil for the recipe, and it was always a hit. Even people are like, I don't like vegetarian food. They loved the pumpkin jalapeno soup. So I definitely want to share this recipe with everybody. I don't know if I could try haggis either. Um, I have been told it tastes like weird marshmallows by people, but that's one like I know what it looks like, so I probably would like. I'm gonna have to pass on the haggis. Oh yeah, well I still tried it. My husband's in the background, like you didn't like menudo. No, I didn't really like menudo, but I did still try it. Haggis, I don't even think I could bring myself to try. Weird meaty marshmallow, so that's what it does taste like. They are not, but we have a candy company here in Reno that makes vegan marshmallows, and they use agar agar. I tried asking for the recipe, like what they do, and they refused to tell me because I wanted to try making vegan marshmallows, and I was very curious of how they got that to work with the agar agar. It depends on how it's prepared. I've had beef liver before where it was uh, deep fried, like it was a fried steak of beef liver, and it was stuffed with onion and garlic and rosemary. That was really good. I could eat that again, but like the liver and onions, like from the TV shows or the things that you could find at like the restaurants with like what I don't know, just the beef and onions thing, like the beef liver and onions. I can't do it that way when it's just like cooked. It's got a weird texture, but when it was fried and stuffed with garlic, onion, and rosemary, I was okay with that. All right, Space Hero, have a nice one. Be on the lookout for my soup recipe. I am gonna add that into a video soon. I do want to make sure, like, no matter what your diet is, I could share recipes I like that are inclusive for everybody. Yeah. I actually didn't mind when in my biology class when we were dissecting organs, that stuff didn't bother me. The one that bothered me the most were the giant earthworms they brought in because they smelled so bad. I did not understand why the worms smelled worse than anything else that they had brought into our class to dissect. And I thought I was honestly expecting the worms to be the easiest thing. But that smell, I will never forget that smell. and they were supposed to be just like plain earthworms, but I did not understand why they smelled so bad. Okay, Illustrated, no worries. Pop in and out. I do plan on being on for like another 2 hours or so. I want to get a lot of leaves added into this tree, make it look lush and full and vibrant. It was they were weird worms. Like they were supposed to be just plain earthworms, but like I know what earthworms look like for our area, and the earthworms in our area are kind of thin and long, and these were really fat earthworms, and they were about the same length, but they were just super fat earthworms. And that was my least favorite like day. I actually didn't really care for any of the dissection days in my biology class, but that one was the worst. And I was actually quite happy to find out when I took biology again in college that we didn't have to do any dissections because I didn't really want to do any. I need to push that up a little bit more. Yeah, it probably what they did was they probably like way overfed it just so they could be like super plump. They just smelled so bad. Like I was expecting kind of like the frogs, or even when they brought in, I don't even remember what animal it was, but we had I think we did a heart and eyes, and I honestly expected one of those to smell really bad. It just I could not believe how bad the earthworms smelled. Did it once, was very happy to find out we didn't have to do that again in college. I was expecting it because I had to take a science class for my astronomy degree, and I took first year was biology and chemistry, and then I went into physics and astronomy. And so I was kind of expecting it with my biology class, but very pleasantly surprised. I had picked a biology professor who didn't like dissecting stuff either, so that made it very easy. He had figured out a way to kind of like teach the class without needing to dissect anything. Yeah, it did help. And I was glad our school didn't force it because there are some schools out there that like force that kind of stuff. I'm like, he was able to teach us just fine without needing to dissect anything. And I feel like if a teacher can figure out how to teach using different tools to get the same lessons across, by all means let them. People learn in different ways. So we need teachers who teach in different ways. I was trying to get one of my math teachers to understand that because like I was struggling to learn from him. And so I never showed up to his class because like I just didn't like the way he taught. But I couldn't get into another math class, so I was kind of stuck with him. And he's just like, "What are you talking about? Math is math. It's all taught the same way. If you can't learn it, you can't learn it. That's on you." And I was like, "No, I absolutely can learn this. I'm just struggling learning it from you." And so like he made this thing like, well, fine, you don't need to come to my math class. You could just take the final exam, and if you get an A on the final exam, you'll pass my math class. And so I was like, bet. I never went to any of his classes. I taught myself all of the curriculum because like I could find other ways of learning that worked for me. And I did none of the other work in his class. I literally went the first, I think, 4 classes when I was trying to tell him like I'm struggling learning from him, and we had that art discussion. So I just left. I showed up for the final exam. I took the final exam and I got a 98% on it, and he expected me to fail. And I, after that, I told him, I was like, it's your teaching style. I'm not saying your teaching style is wrong. I was struggling learning from your teaching style. And that was kind of the end of it. That was like one of the few teachers I had issues with in college. Good night, Becky. I will have a wonderful evening, and I hope you have a wonderful night yourself. I'm going to get a lot of work done today. There we go. That's starting to look a little bit better. It's looking less funky. Less funky of a shape. Oh, don't feel bad you're distracting me with comments. Look at how much I've gotten done with the tree. Like I've still been talking and enjoying your guys' company. I mean, I actually don't do too bad creating art out in public, chatting with people while I'm painting. Especially like when I'm painting in a coffee shop. Like I have people that come up to me all the time. My favorite thing when they were like, "Oh, you painted that?" while I'm painting it. Yeah, no, I didn't paint it. I just found this canvas, and I wanted to make it look like I was painting it. My favorite thing whenever I'm like out in public, I always get one person like, "Oh, you painted that?" while I'm painting it. I have a Stay Wet palette. It's not my favorite. I think it works better for gouache than acrylics. But I will say, if you get like a jewelry box or bead box, they work really well for paint. This is like I have every container's like filled with just like that one's dried out, but like just different shades of different colors. I just like add in water to it to kind of like keep everything moist. And my biggest issue with the Stay Wet palettes is the paint spreads and it will mix together. And I really don't like that. This keeps it all separated. The only thing, right here at the hinge, they do have some that have no opening at all and create a full seal. I would suggest looking for those. But this has worked fine, and it's kept my paint, like, I don't know, some of the paint in this is at least 6 months old, and I'm still able to use it just fine. So, like, that's my recommendation. Like, look for a bead separator or a jewelry separator, like container. Michaels sells them. You can find them on Amazon really easily. Hello, Jay. Happy to have you in. Right, Nookling? Like that always just like you could have thought of something a little like better to say, like, what are you painting? Or like how long have you been painting? But like while I'm sitting there painting, they're watching me put the paint on the canvas. Oh, you paint that? I know a lot of artists like get a little perturbed by that because it's just like the most common question we get asked whenever we're doing our art in public. You draw that? Or you drew that? You're an artist? I'm very happy with how it's coming out. Working on the tree, getting in. Currently working on all of like the darkest shades of the tree, and then I'm gonna be moving up into the lighter shades of green and the yellows. Oh. Uno momento. I need to go let the dogs out really quick. They need to go use the restroom. Everything okay? Everything good? What? Everything good? Okay, I'm back. I appreciate that, Brett. Welcome. Thank you. I probably have about 20 more hours of work. It just depends on like how quickly the rest of this landscape is going to get. I'm able to finish it and get the subjects of the painting done, which is my friend's nephew Kenny and his three favorite Pokemon. But just based off of like prior works, I think I probably have about 20 more hours left. You guys gonna say hi? You wanna say hi? No? Okay. Baxter's outside and Onyx doesn't want to move. He's under the blanket right now. So he's being grumpy. But I'll tell your dog hi from my dogs. I have put about 60 hours into this so far. And yeah, about 20 more hours left for this to be done. Yeah, it takes a long time to do some of these paintings. That's why I don't get them done as much as I would like to for like videos on YouTube, just because they do take a while. But I have a lot of fun like doing this. So easy to just like get into a zen mode and kind of space out and just let whatever I'm seeing in my mind come out onto the canvas. I need more paint. Phthalo green. That's a tough one. I probably like how it's definitely a toss up. I like how much quicker I can get some paper crafting done because like those typically take anywhere between 10 to 30 hours just depending on like the piece. Like the book art took about 30 hours. The paper flowers that I had done, those took about 20 hours. So like there's some, and then like in the books, I think I have some in here. Like when I'm doing the coloring pages, those take maybe 10 hours max. So like I could kick those out fairly quickly. So I like how quickly I can get those done, but I do like the process and getting lost in painting. That's always been like a huge factor for me with the painting. Is I really really enjoy the process of it. And I do like the look of like the painting afterwards. I kind of wish I could get a little faster at this. I thought I would get like the more I did it, I thought I would get faster and faster. That does not seem to be the case with acrylic painting, at least when you're using a brush. But I don't like using the brush pens. It just it's not the same kind of process. Like I don't have an issue with them. I've used well, I mean, I do have issues with them. Completely unrelated to like them as an art supply though. This is more like I don't like the textile feeling of them when they're coloring. Like the way that they jump across the paper and I can feel that vibration in my hands and they make weird squeaking noises and I do not like that stuff. But as an art supply, like the process is just so much different. It's just more like coloring. And I don't mind coloring. It's just not the same as painting. But if you were wondering like why I don't use brush pens, that's the reason. It's a textile thing for me. I do not like the way they feel while actually coloring with them or the sounds that they make. But if I were to, if I absolutely had to rank them, I think I would probably put painting above paper crafting. Probably like painting, paper crafting, and then working with glitter because I really do love working with glitter. But it's the mess. It's the mess that they make, and it's all of the steps you have to take to try to contain that mess that kind of brings it down a little bit. But the look of like any kind of artwork you make with glitter, like that look that it has, it's just so pleasing on the eyes. I absolutely love working with glitter. Yeah, I one of my best friends in college, he did a lot of stuff with cardboard and hot glue and would add all sorts of fun textures to the cardboard. Pizza boxes. It was pizza boxes. We would always order like Little Caesars and then he'd cut the lid of the pizza box off and he would use that as his canvas. And he did a lot of hot glue stuff too. So like I can totally see why you would like hot glue and cardboard, Travis. Yeah, he did a lot of really amazing things. I think the best thing he ever made, he spent like 400 hours in his one semester, and he made like a 3 foot tall Optimus Prime out of pizza box tops, cutting out all the little pieces, putting them all together, hot gluing and painting everything. Like he literally followed like one of those model kits you can get from Japan of Optimus Prime, and he cut like he sized everything up that he could just cut them out of the pizza boxes, and like that was his big project for that semester. And he said it was like I don't know if it really took him 400 hours, but that's the number that I remember him saying it took. He just put in a lot of work to it for like this like giant Optimus Prime that he made out of pizza box tops. I may have missed it. I'm gonna have to rewatch it. I want to rewatch your movie anyways. Like that was a fun movie. Just an excuse now to like rewatch it and find the Easter egg of your art project. So if anybody in here like you want to like learn about another artist and look at some of their projects, Travis has like a movie documentary, full length movie on his YouTube channel that he made and put together. Got a bunch of other artists involved. Had custom music made for it. Lots of perspectives from other artists. You should definitely go check it out. Travis is a really cool guy. And one of his last videos, he turned an entire room into a Harry Potter room by painting murals all across the walls and the doors. That is also a really cool project. If you like Harry Potter, you're going to definitely have to go check that out. Also, he's another really good, like, encouraging artist. He's good people. Artists help artists. That is my philosophy. We help artists help artists. The internet is already a cruel place. It doesn't need to be cruel because of artists. Yeah, Jay Travis is very talented. He's put a lot of work into his skills. If you have time, he's definitely an artist I think you should check out on YouTube and follow along in his little creative journey that he's taken. He's going places. Okay, Asuna. I hope you have fun with whatever you need to do. And I will be here for probably another hour and a half. Be nice. Your mural was amazing. I think everybody will be nice. Like that I thought that was super cool. I was really impressed. Mural work is something I haven't done yet. I have been asked. I'm a little too nervous because like I haven't used spray paint and I like my tiny brushes. I like the really tiny brushes. And that won't work on like a wall that's 16 feet long. But our city does a lot of artist work with murals and stuff. And so like I've had a lot of people like, you need to get a mural out there. You need to get a mural out there. You live in Reno. The city will pay you to put a mural up. This is my biggest brush. This is my biggest brush. And this is for like when I'm soaking the canvas before I start painting it. I soak it in water and I'll brush the water across the canvas to kind of get into the mood. And then like the base layer. That is the only thing this brush is used for. Like everything else is the tiny, tiny brush. Um, and then of course like I have used some of these. So like when I'm doing bigger parts, like filling in the tree, I'll use a little bit bigger brush, but I like my small detail brushes. I see other artists like manipulating their big brushes to do tiny detail work, and that kind of like I'm really impressed with it because I'm like I'm not that skilled with a brush. I need the tiny brushes. I love doing mural tours in my town too. They change them up. Like some have stayed for a while. Like we have one mural that's like I want to say it's 100 feet tall. It is huge. It's painted on the side of a parking garage for one of the casinos downtown. It is a huge mural. It's been there the entire time I've lived in Reno. So like that one's lasted, but there's other murals that like they'll go up and they last a year and then they'll be painted over. It just like depends. And I don't know, like, that also kind of makes me nervous. Like, it's gonna be there for so long, or like, it might even get painted over, and like, then the artwork is gone forever. Am I okay with that? And then it's also like, what kind of acrylic paint am I gonna use that's gonna last outside? Even though, like, I know this lasts outside, but I do not want to spend Winsor and Newton money on paints for the side of a building. Oh, that's kind of cool. We have a lot of we have a lot of Native American Wild West inspired murals. Reno is a mining town, so like, I mean, we aren't the mining town. Virginia City is, which is outside of Reno. Virginia City's the mining town, but a lot of it was processed through Reno. The trains came through Reno, and like, it was a major stop from the East Coast into San Francisco. Like, it, Reno has a very colorful history, all getting started like in the Victorian era. So like, a lot of our old houses are Victorian houses. So like, that's a lot of the stuff that our murals based off of Native American folklore or artwork. Then we have the Wild West, the trains especially. There's a lot of train murals around town, and mining stuff, especially with the history. But then the other stuff, the newer murals, like, we also have a lot of stuff for Burning Man. So Burning Man is not too far away from Reno, and every year we get the burners in town on their way to Burning Man, and so like, their art has also influenced a lot of stuff around town. A lot of like the sculptures and stuff that you'll see at Burning Man and pictures, they end up here in town. Like, the city will buy them and they go up in parks and stuff around town. So like, Burning Man also has a huge influence on Reno. I have not been. It's something I want to do, but lately, like, prices for tickets to get into Burning Man have just been ridiculously priced, as well as the last few years they've gotten flooded out because the playa where Burning Man is it's salt flats, and it's flat because of floodwaters, and we tend to get rain and stuff in August, and so like, it floods out there, and that's what made the playa so flat, is all those floodwaters, and so they get flooded out and creates like a horrible situation because there's a lot of stuff that's buried in that mud now from Burning Man. Like, thousands of years from now, paleontologists, for whatever humans may look like, if humans are still here, or whatever race, are going to find all these fossilized bikes and like bandanas and all sorts of stuff from Burning Man buried deep in that mud. Because like, there's no getting it out. Once like that mud dries, it is rock solid. So it's buried. It is gone forever. Yep. Artifacts in time. And the big thing that gets buried out there though are the bikes, because everybody uses bikes and stuff to get around, and then they leave them. That's the one thing I really don't like about Burning Man is people will bring hundreds to thousands of bikes, and then they just leave them all across town or in Burning Man itself. We do have an organization though that does try to collect them, and then like, they provide bikes for people in need who could use them. But there's a lot that get lost. They end up in like the Truckee River or around town. I wish they would just take them with them, or just donate them, because like, when they leave them, they get messed up. And literally, if they just donate them, the bikes would be, for the most part, in new condition, because most of the people that go to Burning Man buy brand new bikes just for Burning Man, and then they leave them. Like if they would just take them out and donate them to any of the number of organizations here in town, I feel like they would get much better use. Oh yeah, the La Brea tar pits. I haven't seen Sin City in a while, but I think I know what you're talking about with the splats. I want to go back to the La Brea tar pits too. That was a very fun museum. It was my favorite museum I had been to as a child. I have been to like more museums since then, and I have a bunch of others that I really like, but there is something about the La Brea tar pits. Actually, just watching something on the La Brea tar pits. I was actually on Lucy, the human hominid that they found. I don't quite think Lucy is a Homo sapien, but she's a hominid, and apparently, like, she could be the oldest recorded murder case. Because forensically speaking, it looks like she was murdered, and then her body was dumped in the La Brea tar pits. Just like I don't remember how old exactly she is, but like tens of thousands of years. Still can't hide. That stuff still ends up coming out. Did make me a little sad though to like find out that's how she went, but at the same time, it's like so many of the fossils are because animals got stuck in the tars and they couldn't get out and they end up starving. I don't know which fate is worse, to end up in the La Brea tar pits. I do want to do a La Brea tar pit piece though. Like I have a lot of artwork I did when I was a child based off of the La Brea tar pits. And the mastodons getting stuck in the tar, and that always fascinated me. Maybe redo another childhood artwork. Maybe a little bit happier though, like regarding the tar pits. This is one of those weird phases for me when I'm doing trees, because I can tell it's not full enough. It's not meant to be like full enough because this is only a single color, but it kind of trips me out a little bit because I'm like, it's not bushy enough. It doesn't look right. But I know it doesn't look right because I still got like four other colors of green to add into this. Just one of those weird periods. I guess like the ugly phase. Not the whole painting is ugly, just like this one particular part right now. Yeah, like you can see what it's supposed to look like, but it's not quite there yet. And yeah, Travis, there is a lot to play with on that subject. I like to. It's actually one of my favorite things about going fossil hunting. Nevada, most of the fossils here are, if they're not from the Ice Age, they're all marine and like marine fossils. Like our state fossil is the ichthyosaur because most of this state was underwater for the longest time. And I like love going out and fossil hunting and imagining like what did the state look like at that point? Like what mountains still existed, if any? I mean, granted, the Sierra Nevadas are younger, so they didn't always exist. But just like trying to think like what parts of the landscape would even underwater still be recognizable, if anything would still look recognizable. I actually really want to go out to the Badlands in South Dakota, North Dakota, and Montana to do some fossil hunting. I have family in Montana, and they have the mineral rights to their land. So, like, I really want to go out there one day and maybe do some fossil hunting on their land. You didn't know there were state fossils? Yeah, some states have state fossils. Not every state does, because like Hawaii doesn't have any fossils. The land the state is on is too new. The fossils just don't exist in Hawaii. So not every state has state fossils, but Nevada has a state fossil. I think California does. I think theirs is the mastodon, but don't quote me on it. I could be completely off. It's been a long time since I learned California state history. And I know Utah has a state fossil because Utah's got like Dinosaur National Monument, which I have been there a couple times. Dinosaur National Monument, if you ever have a chance to go, is something you got to go see in person. Just a wall of fossils of dinosaurs is just it is unlike anything you've ever seen. Especially like if you can get into that moment and really like think about all of the creatures that are just in this wall that once lived and roamed this land. And if you can't make it out to Utah, like you, Nookling, because I know you're in the UK, you should look up Dinosaur National Monument. They do have a virtual tour that you could do for free, and I do enjoy the virtual tour very well. You should be able to access it from the UK. Just like looking up Dinosaur National Monument, Utah, UTAH. You should be able to find it if you're interested. Not telling you what you'd have to do though. But as I said in my last live, like the more you learn about the world, I feel like the better artist it makes you. It does help your art immensely when you just learn about different things in the world. It's kind of like what is it called? How soccer players or football players they do drills to stay in shape and like fit and on and sharp for when they're playing soccer. They're not actually playing a soccer game. They're just doing drills and they're just, running exercises of different kinds, stretches, and that's kind of like the base of the soccer game. The game itself isn't you're probably not going to be doing those same kinds of exercises in the game, but it keeps your body sharp for when you're playing. And I feel like learning and understanding different aspects of the world does that for your art. It's you're not using the exact same thing, but it's keeping your mind going in creative ways while you're learning that it will impact your art. It's kind of like just a different form of stretching and exercising, but for your creative mind. Like if you're into fossils and dinosaurs and stuff, two of my favorite channels on YouTube are Benji Thomas. He is a paleontologist that kind of covers all sorts of new dinosaur news, some of his fossil hunts, and things that he has found. And then 7 Days of Science is a spin-off channel of his, and it covers like all sorts of scientific discoveries, A lot of fossil news, a lot of space news. It kind of like helps keep me like looking at some of the positive things also happening in the world, because it's so easy to forget there are still good things happening in this world with everything going on. So 7 Days of Science and Ben G. Thomas, I'll have to share them on my in a post so you guys could check them out if you want to, because I love the channels. I learned a whole bunch about them, like different, all sorts of different things, but dinosaurs are the big ones, different fossils. Oh yeah, I could. I bet you would find out all sorts of new little things to add to your Nooklings that like just dinosaur inspired. So many dinosaurs look so weird, and like you could just like the way that the spikes sit on an ankylosaur's tail, and you're like, I'm gonna implement that for this Nookling. And like that's how like all of a sudden you like grown your creativity just because you learned a little bit about dinosaurs. Or like maybe you want to make a duck creature, so you look at the duck-billed dinosaurs and how their faces all connected to still look like a dinosaur, a monstrous creature, but have these duck bills. And you can implement like that kind of thing. I know nothing. I know nothing. I'm sure though some of you could kind of see like science stuff has definitely inspired my artwork, especially like I love the way that I do skies. I pull a lot of inspiration from like deep space telescopes. I love looking through the pictures NASA releases, and it inspires a lot of my skies because we have dark sky spots here in Nevada, so I do get to see the stars and the Milky Way and stuff in the night sky. But I know like a lot of people don't get to really see that anymore because of the light pollution. So like that's another thing I use just to kind of like help with that, because you know I don't want to paint light pollution into some of my landscapes. I want to be able to see the stars and the Milky Way and kind of like experiment with how that's going to look in all those colors. I think this is going to be it for. I still feel like it's a little empty. That sounds really interesting. Did you like the cartoon We're Back when you were a kid? Like that cartoon movie We're Back? Part of your premise, it kind of seems reminiscent to that. And now I want to see that movie. I haven't seen that movie in ages. I didn't mean to put you on blast. Inspiration comes from everything. Like you're allowed to be inspired and make things your own because of inspiration that you had. Pokemon would not exist if it weren't for like what is it, Monster Rancher? Like Pokemon is inspired from other stuff. There's a Japanese show that Junichi Masuda, or no, it wasn't Junichi Masuda. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was. No, it wasn't Junichi Masuda. Anyways, um, that's not important. The important thing is like there's an old Japanese show that would like kind of like Power Rangers, but they would capture monsters in like these pill bottles or like these giant pill-shaped bottles, and they would be able to like release the monsters. That whole mechanic inspired Pokemon. That's why so many Pokemon look like kaiju and other things. So like You're allowed to be inspired from other stuff and create things as your own. Like, don't be ashamed if something inspires you and create something new. That's really cool. Is it up on your channel? Because if it's on your channel, I will totally check that out when I'm done. You'll, if you don't want to show it, like when you do finish it, like I would still love to check it out. That sounds really cool. Are bits and pieces of it in your movie? Since I am going to be rewatching your movie again. See, I got to figure out which branches are in front. So like the way this is going, those branches are going this way. These are up, and that one's going this way. So this is going to be the closest to the viewer. This section, particularly this branch. This branch is going to be in the front. You never know. You might eventually, like one day, just pick it back up. Like who else was another really famous like group that got inspired? Oh, Studio Ghibli. The oh my gosh, why are names like failing me today? The creator of Studio Ghibli. He was inspired by a Russian animated film based off of the Ice Queen, what Elsa is based off of from Frozen. He watched a Russian animation, and he was really intrigued by the animation itself and it being hand drawn because he was about to give up on animation altogether. But then seeing that movie, it inspired him, and he ended up going on to make like all sorts of amazing movies. So like, own your inspiration. Don't be ashamed to be inspired by others. And you never know, like it may come back to you. You may like pull that up in like 15 years and like, oh, I remember doing this. I should finish this up. And then like create something even more magical. Yeah, I actually think you're a really good animator. I've watched your stuff in some of your animations. They are fun and eye catching. Yeah, there's a lot of the reboots and remakes, but uh, there's a lot of people who are inspired and create completely original works of art based off of inspiration. But it's really hard to not be inspired by others. Like I know there's so much that inspires me with my artwork. Like I know I can see my inspiration from as a kid from Thomas Kincaid. Like I can see that inspiration in my work. Um, who else can I see in my work? Depending like on my emotional state pieces, Francis Bacon, a UK artist, I can see him. Uh, Belinsky, and oh my gosh, the artist that created the xenomorphs for the movie Alien. Like a lot of that intricate detail work. I am really like struggling with names today, but like they're all there. Frida Kahlo's another one with a lot of my emotional state pieces and my processing trauma pieces. But then like I can also see Disney. I can see how Disney's inspired a lot of my artwork. And then of course Pokemon. Pokemon, like I love making Pokemon art. I eventually want to be featured on a card, maybe one day. Yeah, the way that Thomas Kincaid played with light, like, yeah, I can see a lot of that little inspiration in here, especially like with the sunset and the light playing off of the clouds. It's not exactly the same, but I can see that the inspiration's there. And I can recognize that in my own work. A lot of like my teenage years, Sailor Moon and anime were like really big inspirations. Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, like that really heavily influenced the way that I drew people. And then there's a couple other shows. Like I got kind of into chibi characters too. I would suggest if you want to try to get better at like putting emotions onto your canvas or sketching or whatever, one of the best things that you could practice that really helped me, and it may or may not work for you, but eyes. Practice eyes. Putting eyes in different, like with different emotion. Just like Google up like angry person, and then just draw the eye, one of their eyes, and then like frustrated or crying. I feel like that's going to help you the most convey the emotion you want. There's so much is said in the eyes, and if you want to get better at it, definitely practice eyes. I know Chantel, if she were here, she would absolutely agree with me on practicing the eyes to kind of like get better at portraying the emotions you want to. Hey Jay, same here. Like, I have, I don't have them anymore, but I had so many coloring books. Like that was the big thing. I remember the big fat crayons, coloring and coloring books, and that's what I got started with. And tracing out pictures because I didn't have a copy machine, but like I knew if I colored on a piece of paper, I would only be able to color it once. So then I would take another piece of paper and trace on it so that I could color it as many times as I wanted. And I definitely encourage people like, as long as you're not selling it or presenting it as your own 100% authentic work, I will always encourage people to trace. I will always encourage people to color. It just helps. It helps your muscles get used to the whole process of coloring. I do not think there is anything wrong with it. Who were my like biggest ones? Oh, Care Bears. Okay, yeah, Care Bears were a big one. I would okay, because I didn't have like a tracing pad, so like I didn't have the light box or anything like that. One of the things that I would do is I would take VHS tapes from my parents that I probably shouldn't have, and I would record episodes of like Care Bears or Shining Time Station, which is the American version of Thomas the Tank Engine. I would record it so that I could pause it, and then on the screen of the TV with it paused, I would hold the paper up to the screen and I would trace directly off of the TV. Oh my gosh, thinking about that. And that was like when the TVs were like super heavy. The TV that I like it's coming to my mind. My parents got in like the 70s, either the 60s or the 70s. It was like the only TV that they had because TVs were still super expensive. And so it had like a wood frame around it and it was the screen inside of this wooden box and it didn't even have a remote control. You had to go up and it had a dial to turn for the channel. But we could still hook a VCR up to it, and that I guess was the most important thing. Yeah, no remotes. This TV I think weighed like probably 200 pounds. I just remember that thing was so ridiculously heavy. Old fashioned tube TV. I think it was a JVC. I'll have to look it up, like see if I can find like their TV, and I'll share a picture of that TV from my childhood. But like my favorite thing about doing that though was especially with the tube TVs is they would get so staticky. Like off the screen, you could just like feel the static coming off of it, and it would make your the hairs on your arm raise up. But that static would hold the paper onto the TV, so I didn't even have to tape it. I would just place the paper there. The static would hold it in place, and then I could kind of trace what I needed to draw on the TV. Oh my goodness. I kind of miss the way shows looked on some of that, like this, those tube TVs. There's definitely a very unique look that they had, like video games, especially on like the Nintendo or the Super Nintendo. They just do not look the same on my Switch. I've seen those TVs too. We did not have one of those though. Like after that TV went out, we did end up getting like one with a remote. But I do remember for like most of my childhood, that was the only TV we had. It was just that one TV, and it was like the mid '90s, and my uncle was definitely one of those keeping up with the Jones types, and it would rub it into everybody's face that he got like the biggest and bestest, newest thing or whatever. My parents were like with this one TV, and he had to like brag that he got a big screen. He spent like I want to say it was like $1,200 on a big screen TV, and the thing was gigantic. It just had like a 2 foot base on the bottom, this giant plasticky screen that like would wobble if you touched it, and then it was just like stuck out from the wall like 3 feet. The thing was gigantic. And the picture, I didn't even think the picture was that clear. I thought our TV looked better. But it was just because like it was a big screen TV. It was giant. And now like I honestly think my 72-inch TV is the same like the same screen size, but just so much smaller. Like it takes up so much less space than those giant box TVs. I had my old tube TV until I got rid of it before I moved into Reno. So I was still in Vegas, but I did have like uh I was given a tube TV from a friend when they were moving states. So I did have my own tube TV as a teenager, but like my room didn't have cable, so I couldn't even hook it up to cable. But I did have like this fat old TV, and it stayed with me for quite a while. I think it died in 2011, 2010, somewhere around there. It finally died. Made me kind of sad because like this is my tism showing, but like one of my favorite things to do with those old tube TVs is like I would turn them on and I loved putting my face up against them because of that staticky feeling. And I would rub my face around the screen just because it just had a very unique sensation. I was a weird kid. Saying that out loud of something that I used to do really made me realize like that was weird. I was a weird kid. Yeah, that was really what I came down to. Like, I probably could have gotten that TV repaired. It was just so expensive. It was just so much cheaper to just get a new flat screen TV. Oh, I know other people have done it too. Other people have mentioned like they loved the staticky feeling of tube TVs. There's just nothing else like it in the world. And you could always like I could always hear those TVs turn on. Like they just had this high pitched little squeal whenever the TV would turn on. My parents, they'd always tell me like, the TV doesn't make a noise when you turn it on. It doesn't make a noise until the station comes on. And I was like, no, I can hear the TV. I can hear that it's on, even if the screen's black. Yeah, I ended up giving my because it was the family system. I had our old Nintendo system for the longest time. I ended up giving it to my brother because it was both of ours, and so like I got my time with it. I gave it to him so he could have his time with it. I had the HDMI converter, and it just wasn't the same. I think that's why I ended up giving it to him is just because like the the games didn't have the same feel that they did playing on a tube TV. Yeah, the hum. Yeah, illustrated. I like doing that too. You can see like every little like the nodes of all the different colors. Yeah, I used to do that too. And how is it going, Cassie? It is coming along. Working on the tree. I'm getting some work into it. I think I have about 20 more hours left before the painting is completely finished. There are a couple channels on YouTube that have the entire like Saturday morning lineup recorded, and they just have it playing commercials and everything. Oh my goodness, the nostalgia of like ABC Saturday morning kids watching like Pepper Ann and the Weekenders. Gosh, like every once in a while I will pull up one of those channels just for like the nostalgia feel, especially if I have Lucky Charms. If I have Lucky Charms, I will throw on like those Saturday morning cartoons and have a bowl of Lucky Charms. What was the other one I really like? Science Court was another one of those weird Saturday morning shows. I'm so glad you're loving it, Cassie. I hope you have a good day at work. Yeah, I'm getting the work down to it. I have like 6 colors planned for leaves just to kind of like make the tree look vibrant and full of life. And then the tree will be done. I then have the lilies to add. And I need to add in some yellow into the bushes here so they tie in with the bushes in the background a little bit more. And then just like some little like dandelions and clover stuff just to kind of like help fill in the ground so there's no like like this spot right here where it looks really flat, like just to kind of like help mask that stuff away. But it is coming along, and I'm gonna finish it. I'm using the lives to keep me motivated. So I'm glad you're able to pop by and see how it's coming out. Zena's in chat. This is her painting. It's her nephew. The painting is gonna be for. So I told you she'll pop up in the chat every once in a while. Oh, your brother streams on YouTube? I will have to check that out. Like, I knew your brother was kind of involved with some of your like projects and stuff. You've definitely shown you're pretty close with your brother on your in your videos. So like, I don't really like. I haven't really gone out and checked him out, but I will have to. You should totally send me his channel on Instagram. Just shoot me a message with it, and I'll give him a follow and a subscribe, and might check out one of his streams if I happen to be available at the same time. It's not her son, it's her nephew. It's her sister's son. But they were all super close. Like, I mean, they're still super close. I didn't say they were. They are still a very close knit family. But I am gonna make a print. I'm gonna get a print made of this. So like, I'm gonna give Cassie the original, and then I'm gonna have a print shipped with it, so that she can give her sister a copy of this painting, so they can both have it in their homes. Oh, Nookling. Yeah, if you need to go to bed, you you need more than 4 hours of sleep. Yeah, Kenny was definitely loved. Had Still is very much so loved. And I'm making him a little slice of heaven. It's gonna be all his with his Pokemon. I just got your message, Travis. I appreciate it. Okay, Illustrated. Oh, look at this. Everybody's like building art connections. That's so very nice of you, Illustrated. Thank you. You guys all make my community very wonderful and lovely. Giving me the warm fuzzies. Let's see. I think that's enough. I should probably do a little bit more on the side over here. Because I also got to think about it. I'm going to be adding in a whole bunch of more colors. So it's definitely going to get like more lush and filled out. Yeah, I gotta. I absolutely agree with you, Illustrated. The art community on YouTube, it's unlike any other art community I've ever experienced online. I tried DeviantArt, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. But there is just something about the art community here on YouTube that's just, it is definitely like, has a special place in my heart now. And I'm not saying like the other communities are all horrible. They're just different. But this one is special. This one is special for me. Mm, I think I'm just about done. I can move on to the next color. Okay, okay. So I darkened that up. So that's the color I need to go for next. And that is... Okay, Cassie. I hope you have a good day at work. I'm glad you were able to stop by and see the progress. I don't know if the color is going to pick up on camera, but like in person, I could tell that this is a different color. Let's see. Can you guys tell? I know it's wet, but it's just a little bit lighter, and I'm going to be like going to like yellow in this way. So I got about, after this color, about 5 more colors to kind of like, I'm going to be slowly brightening it up into yellow just to kind of add all of the different variation. There we go. It's already starting to fill it out. It's going to add in a whole bunch of dimension. Yeah, I like it. It just does something for the landscapes to have like those kinds of variation. Because I notice that when like I go on hikes and stuff out in nature, like I'll look in a tree and like yeah, the pine needles like from far away they all look like the same color, but when you get up close to them, like you could just see like all sorts of variations in the colors. And I definitely like try my best to recreate that in my own paintings, especially with landscapes. If I want to do a landscape, I want to like celebrate what nature's already done. I just forgot to add the yellow the last time. I do need to add some yellow into it because that's all I'm seeing is the little specks of yellow in the trees in the distance, and it's absent from the two in the foreground. And now it's starting to get past that weird, ugly phase. Just this branch right here is already looking so much more full and vibrant. And I did like maybe an eighth of the amount of leaves that I did in the darkest color. Oh, nice, Jay. Congratulations. I'm glad you decided to do the collab. That's exciting. I hope 5 months should be enough time for whatever you want to plan for the collab, but that's exciting. Am I subscribed? I'm going to double check that I'm subscribed. I can't do it right now. Um, but I will make sure I'm subscribed so I can watch your videos. I will totally cheer you on and support you as best I can. There's only so many hours in a day, so like I can't watch every single video as much as I would love to, but I do watch a lot of videos. And I love watching other artists. There's just too much creativity in the world to not want to watch other artists and what they create. I want to enjoy it too. They're sharing it, so like I want to enjoy it. You are a funny one, Travis. Hey, Rory. Hello, hello. Happy to see you. I love the amount of collabs that are starting to happen on YouTube. One of the ones like secretly I'm kind of hoping I could eventually get into, but like at the same time I'm like I don't even know how to approach it and like I'm a little nervous about it because some of the artists that have appeared in this collab are like way talented and I don't feel like I'm at that level, but like 10 hundreds challenges and collabs I've watched quite a few of his, and I kind of like been thinking like I want to do one of his collabs. I think that would be kind of cool. Thinking about like whenever, like whatever their limits are for like the last one, the album covers. Thinking about like what I would do with that. The art battles, yes. Yeah, 1000 is definitely like he knows how to pick artists. So many different styles and just from all over the world. I like I'm in awe of so many of them. I follow quite a few of them just because like their work is so amazing. And he's doing like a card game as well and I'm like if I could like start talking to him or like get some kind of in with him. Maybe like I could design one of his card artworks for his cards. I know it's not Pokemon, but uh, it's still a trading card and it's a start. Oh, you just watched him, yeah. My very first art collab ever was a Pokemon art collab on Instagram. It's supposed to be like a holiday series. I actually made a really cool art piece. It's right underneath this one actually. Let's see. Where is it? There it is. That was my first art collab piece. The Missing No in Cinnabar Island. It's for Halloween. Did all that scary stuff with it. I love the way that this came out. This is my first collab art piece. And then Vile Ops here was next. And that was from Creative Paula. So like, yeah, I haven't done too many myself. But I do love watching them. Yeah, I just wish I had a little bit more money because I want to support 1000 a lot, but I know like trading cards aren't cheap and he's putting in a lot of work into his game. I will probably support him as much as I can, but I wouldn't be able to go like full blown like I did with my Pokemon card collection. It was colored pencils and ink. So I used pens. It's graphite pencils, colored pencils, and pens. That is very true, Travis. Like, I get in my own head sometimes, and I let the intimidation win. I should still probably like shoot for the stars. I gotta like my own hurdles to get over with my art though, because there's so many times like I just, as I said in the last one, like my art always feels like I made it. It's something I made. And so I don't see it beyond anything other than, oh, it's just something I made. And I know that's my imposter syndrome at play, but like, that's a hard thing to shake. Like, it doesn't mean I don't like my artwork or anything like that. Just that it's, I just see it as like, oh, it's just something I made. And then I look at other people's artwork and I'm just like, oh my gosh, your work is amazing. And I could see the hard work and everything that they've put into their own work, and I could recognize that, but then I don't sit there and recognize it in myself. Our brains are very funny things. I agree with you. It is so easy to just like sit here and record this, and after 3 weeks of struggling with the one single freaking video, yeah, editing is the hard part. I'm a little sad I have to give up on that video, but I don't know what the problem is. And I just need to move on. Otherwise, I'm going to get stuck on it. And sometimes it's better to just let things go. There was no new artwork in it. I can show off the artwork like that I was going to show off on it in future videos. It was just kind of ranking my artwork from 2025. So nothing new, but I still like spent a lot of time recording it and trying to get all of like the reference videos, because I did show some processes from those prior videos that prior artworks that I didn't post to YouTube yet, but maybe in the future, a future video. That is very true, Rory. Yeah, because I'm going to go get a painting, because you just made me think about this. I have a painting that I did that I actually do not like. I am really disappointed in what happened with this painting, and it was because of the water. I'm going to go get it. Everybody else loves this painting. It is one of my least favorite paintings. So this is it. It is a Pokemon painting. There are things I do like about this painting, but I messed up the water. So when I was doing this painting, I had worked on the water and I got the water so perfect. This is totally using references from around Lake Tahoe. So this is like based off the forests and stuff around me. And I had captured just like the perfect turquoise in the water. And I loved it. The only issue, I hadn't done any of the reflections in it yet. So I got the water the way I wanted to. I started doing other stuff and realized I needed to put in the reflections. So I started putting in the reflections and I overworked it. I ended up not liking it and I needed to cover up the reflections, the first set of reflections I did. But because I needed to cover those up, I needed to make the rest of the water kind of match. And I ended up needing to cover over all of the water. And I lost what I had originally done. And I remember the way that this looked when I thought the water was perfect. And I'm not saying like it's bad, but that's all I see with this is just like I ruined the water. And that was my favorite thing about this painting. And everybody else loves it. Everybody I've showed this painting to loves this painting, but I know what I did to the water, and because of that, it's my least favorite painting. Like, there's things about it I like, but I can't like that. That one thing about this painting holds me back from liking it as much as I probably would have had I never even saw that part. Like, you could kind of see part of the way that it looked behind the trees because that was a little harder to kind of like get back into. So there's like this darker, really pretty turquoise color between some of the trees there. A little bit right over there. But for the most part, like I just had to cover it all up and it just did not look the same. But it's okay. Like I still keep the painting because like it's still my work. I still put a lot into it. Just live and learn. Better planning for what I want, like reflections and stuff to look like in the waters. But yeah, it's like that's my least favorite painting because just of that one simple little mistake. And I wouldn't even say it was a mistake. It was just part of the process. But I definitely like I hold on to that because I remember exactly the way the water looked, and I had to get rid of it just to make the painting look cohesive and as one. Yeah, and that's the thing. Nobody else will ever see that kind of like that kind of mistake or issue with the painting. I mean, granted, if I had recorded it, you guys would have, but this was before I was recording on YouTube with that one. So I also try to repeat to people like, as the artist, you're gonna notice the mistake more so than anybody else. You are your biggest critic when it comes to artwork. And then the other great thing about like the artwork, like you can also say like, oh, it was a stylistic choice. If somebody does notice it, you can be like, oh yeah, I purposely did that. I was experimenting. I should definitely listen to my own advice. Yep, morning and old save point. I think I have a picture of it. I'll have to like look for the picture so I can like put a comparison of like the way the water had looked versus what happened to it after I had to fix it. I was so proud of the water too, because like water was one of those things that I struggled with for a while. Like I struggled with painting water and making it look like water instead of just blue. And so I was really proud of the way that I had gotten it to look. I was like, oh my gosh, like it looks like water. It looks like you can see through it. It looks like water. And then I ended up messing that up. Yeah, overworking it. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Part of that live and learn. But also at the same time, like, there's risks, especially with painting. You got to take risks to get things to look right because there was no getting around it. I needed to put a reflection in the water. I did start going about it at like better ways so I could get the reflections in the water right. But I wouldn't have learned some lessons from that had I not made that mistake. And I definitely feel I've improved painting water since this painting. Mm, okay. I should I don't need to be nosy. I think my neighbor's upset with his daughter. I'm sitting here like, oh, what's going on out there? Is there a little bit of drama? Is there some tea going on? I don't need to be listening to that. There's no tea. Just a teenager being a teenager. Yeah. The you mean like technique wise? You did a whole bunch of interesting stuff with your portals. I mean, it's fun to like try to work on something that you're used to in different ways because you do find like new techniques and like maybe a new style when you experiment like that. Like I still experiment with clouds. I don't think I mean I do have a way that I like to work on my clouds and most of them are done in that way, but not all of them. I still experiment with them and try new ways of painting clouds to get different looks, different styles of different ways of blending the colors together to create like new ways the light plays on them. All right, J of all trades. I appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with me for a bit while I painted and chatting. It has been fun. I do hope you have a wonderful day or night, whatever time it is for you. Evening, so have a good night. I need to brighten these leaves up a little bit. Got too much of the space behind the leaves popping through, so it's like create like a really dark part of the tree right there, while the rest is kind of like looking a little bit more lively. Need the whole thing to look a little lively. So we're just gonna boop, put one leaf there. And hydration break. Make sure you're drinking your water. Just a reminder for everybody. Although, I love reminding other people to drink water in their live streams. We are very used to it here in the desert because you will quickly get heat exhaustion if you do not stay hydrated. So it's a very fundamental part of me. Like, I understand the importance of staying hydrated. Oops, the wrong color. I don't want to go back to dark green. I'm using a little bit of a lighter shade. I will say, like, when I was in Florida, like, it didn't cross my mind as much because the air itself felt like moist. It's so much more humid in Florida than it is here. And that I actually felt like I was doing worse about staying hydrated than I do here in the desert. So, and I know Ohio's a lot more humid than it is here in Nevada. So, like, I kind of get, like, you could kind of totally forget you need to stay hydrated just because of the humidity in the air. You could do what I did for one of my clients because she had a really tough time remembering to drink water, and she suffered from like severe migraines from it. And so, like, I set alarms in her phone to go off about every hour and a half, and it was just like a little chime, and with a little message that popped up that said, "Remember to drink some water." And it just went off every hour and a half during the day, and it helped her migraines immensely, which she was very happy with because the medication the doctors had her on for her migraines, she didn't like. They made her feel funny. Yeah, just like all that heat from the furnace and everything, depending on what kind of heating system you have, yeah, it dries out all the air too. That's my problem with my hands because like right around here I have eczema and so my hands will dry out really weird because of it, and I have to keep my hands moisturized. But especially in the winter, my hands get so much more dried out. And I got to take care of them. I need my hands to paint. And there's actually a, now that I'm thinking about it, there's a heating vent that blows the hot air directly over here. So, like, probably doesn't help keeping my hands nice and hydrated. But we are probably going to be moving soon. Staying in Reno, but just like moving into a new place. So I might be getting a whole new setup. So, like, no point in changing this all up if we're going to be moving in a couple months. I never really thought about that. That is probably why my hands do get really cold. Because, yeah, like, my hands get really cold. But it makes sense. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Because your skin can't do what it needs to do and it's not, like, hydrated enough. That's why it's so much easier to, like, get breakouts when you're not super well hydrated or, like, cracked skin and chapped lips. Totally makes sense. Like, feel a little silly for never, like, putting two to two together there. You're absolutely right, Rory. I do that. I have what is it, Sarah V, or however you say it. I apparently like I've been saying it wrong. I heard a TikTok of somebody like correcting other people about how to say it. Sarah V. Like I do have Sarah V lotion because it helps my eczema a lot, and I do use it a lot to kind of help my hands because eczema likes to dry out my hands even more so. Yeah, just a little bit. It is a little bit colder there, but we've been pretty chilly. Just no snow. That's the one thing like I haven't like. We've been 47 degrees right now. This is the warmest it's been in a couple weeks. Oh my goodness, what is that? It's like 9 degrees Celsius if I'm converting it right. I can't math right now. Somewhere around there. But it does look like we're going to be getting a storm here soon. I can feel it in my neck, my bones. Bum, 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 bum. How high do I want this? I feel like the top branch, one of them is not tall enough. I feel like I need to make it a little bit taller. I'm just not sure which one. My... oh boy. Eric is currently in his room studying. He's got a certification exam coming up for his job. And he has a bottle of the Vaseline Intensive Care Lotion that he tries getting me to use all the time. And I really just don't like the feel of it. Like the feel of Vaseline or the oily, greasier lotions. They feel so heavy on my skin. But he was telling me, like, well, if you don't want your skin getting like chapped and cracking or dried out, like you're gonna have to compromise. I know you don't like the feeling of it, but it's probably gonna help your skin a lot better. No, I'm fine. I'll just keep using the CeraVe. And now you, Rory, are on his side, and he's gonna find that really funny that one of my own audience members is telling me to do the same thing he's been telling me to do. He loves hearing when he's right. I should invest in a pair of gloves. That's another thing. Like, I don't have. I like being like when I'm going out and about. I like playing Pokemon Go, and I don't have a great of control over the Pokeballs. Even with like the gloves that have the feeling, so you can still scroll and stuff. They just don't do the same things that I want them to do with my fingers, so I don't wear gloves. I really should start like just accept it. I'm old. I'm gonna need to change some things about my habits to deal with the fact that I'm getting old. Like dealing with greasier lotions that might help my eczema a bit more than the CeraVe's helps it, especially during winter or wearing gloves. I had a pair of fingerless gloves. I just always forgot to grab them. I was just like, I didn't like wearing the gloves to begin with because like I liked being on my phone to play Pokemon Go and that kind of stuff. It's just personal issues that I kind of need to get over. Learn to deal with it, adapt, as they say, rather than being one of those old people that can't adapt and young people today complaining about them because everything's changing. Learn to adapt. I'm still gonna tell like Eric though, like what you said, and he's gonna find that funny. He'll be like, "See, I told you, and I'm not the only one now." And since he already has it, like I can absolutely try it after the live, seeing how I like it today. Especially because I need to take. I can't say the word, but we have to go on our WALK soon. So I am going to be going outside, and it's dry cold. That is another issue that I have is finding gloves big enough. I am an XL XXL for gloves, so I prefer like to be the XXL end of it, but it's also kind of hard sometimes to find gloves that are big enough for my hands. That was one of the biggest issues I had when I was working in healthcare, finding gloves big enough for me. Because everybody always had mediums, but nobody ever had the double XLs, and I needed the double XLs because I would still break through the extra large gloves. Yep, you're right. There's no excuse to not try it. See how my hands handle the cold today, and if they react better, even if I don't like the way it feels, then it's just gotta do what's best for my body, even if I don't like the way it feels. It's really starting to like thicken up and look like a lush tree. I'm very happy with the way this is going. I think this is the branch. I'm gonna need to have it come up a lot further. This is the one that's kind of like making me feel like it's just something's wrong with the tree, and I think it's that branch. Oh, yeah, I can imagine. I've I have a niece, and I have to like I've helped her get clothes and stuff, and there's so many things that I'm just kind of like, as a boy, I take for granted. I don't even realize it. Well, as a man, I should say, but like, I just like, oh yeah, like we can get you something like this, and they don't make an equivalent for women or girls. The biggest one are like, why don't so many pants or dresses have pockets for women? My niece loves pockets, and so many of the pants we would get her just do not have pockets. I have to make like a conscious effort now of looking for pants with pockets. That's the biggest one. I don't understand. Like what's the problem with pockets in pants? Okay, like we don't put them in dresses. I don't agree with that, but whatever. But why so many of the pants had fake pockets? Like why do women's pants need fake pocket decals? Why can't they just have actual pockets? And so like yeah, I can kind of get you there. Dealing with shopping with my niece, I've learned about that. There's like definitely some big issues within the clothing industry there. Yeah, that's the other one. Like I got one pair of pants and I didn't even think about it. I just saw they had pockets and I opened it without actually like seeing how deep the pockets were and I was like, "Okay, it's got pockets. We can get these pants. They're in my niece's size." We got them and she's like her biggest complaint was the pocket was so tiny. She's like, "I can only put a penny in it." Like made me feel so bad. I'm like, I need like, yeah, make sure like they're not just like the weird fake decorative pockets that are just like maybe an inch deep. It's another one I just don't understand. She likes her pockets, so I got to make sure they have pockets. And then there, she's also with shoes. She's got like wide feet for her age, and like a lot of girls' shoes just don't come in wides. Like we can't if we go too big, they're then like where they're the right kind of width for her feet. They're too long in the toes, and it messes her up with walking. But like if we get the correct size for her length, then it's too tight on the sides, and it seems like so many girls' shoes are just like made purposefully to like narrow their feet. So like that's another one of my biggest complaints with like taking her shopping is like finding her shoes because everything just seems like they're just trying to make her that is way lighter than I was expecting. I must have hit the bottom. Like yeah, they're just like why are they like trying to make her feet so narrow and finding wides for girls? I can find them in women's, but finding wide shoes in girls is just ridiculously hard. I can find them in men's, boys, I can even find them in women's, but finding them for girls like that my clothing rant right there like that's a big one is shoes. As my sister says, it's the issue when you have men just designing women's clothes. Men want to put women into a perfect box. And I have to agree with her there. Like, yeah, we we take those kinds of things into account when it comes to our own clothes, but then we don't do the same for women when we design women's clothes. Well, I'm glad you can at least find that. And so many men's boots just look so plain that they're easy to decorate. You can add in like anything you want to a lot of them. I kind of used to do that to men's boots. I would go thrifting for men's boots when I did drag because I could not find women's shoes in my size. I did have some. I have a pair of Mary Janes in my size. I'm a 16W in women's. But most of the time, I would just have to get men's boots, and I would just customize them to look like women's boots. All right, Travis, have a good one. I'm gonna be heading off here soon myself before the doggies start complaining that they're late for their WALK. I do want to at least finish with this particular color green. So I got like this little bit around here to do. Okay, wait a second. This branch is going to be in the back. This one's in front next. Then this one in front of that one. And then this one in front of those. So don't cover up those leaves. But do cover up these leaves. I think that's what was causing it to look a little funky right there for me was I was creating perspective issues. This particular part of the tree would be in front of this branch, but I'm painting this branch in front of it. So I need to correct that. why would why would hiking boots for women not be waterproof? That kind of seems like a no-brainer to me. Like I know lots of women who hike. Lots of women who hike. So why would it be I don't understand some of the industries. And then I'm like if you guys are a little bit more inclusive, you would make more money. Like I feel like it's counterintuitive to be exclusionary. You can make more money when you're more inclusive with people. There's another drag queen I was watching. She was complaining about something similar. She had watched Patagonia do like a 150-mile hike in drag. And so she was like looking for women's hiking boots and she just could not find a good pair of women's hiking boots in her size. Or ones that would like at least do what they needed them to do. Yeah, water resistant is not the same as waterproof. It's like they purposefully make things for women. They're like, oh, well, you're going to be dainty. So we got to make sure all of the things we make are purposefully for you being dainty. I'm like, don't you have a girl? Like, I don't even have children, but I have my niece, and she's like just as rambunctious as I was as a kid. She gets into so much freaking trouble. And she's always like destroying so many of her clothes, not intentionally. It's just like she's just being a kid and playing, and her clothes are just like not as resistant to tears or dirt like the boys' clothes are. I feel like the fabric that they use for girls' clothing is just like thinner. Or do it, yeah, yeah, exactly. Like all the clothes are just made to do like be doing the catwalk on the street. And I kind of feel like it's almost a lie of society, like, oh, girls are more high maintenance than boys if you have children. And I feel like the only reason that's the case is because all of the things that we make for women and girls are just more expensive and less durable than the boy or male equivalents. Where did you go? Oh, you're with Baxter's walking around. I think he's starting to get antsy. He wants to do his thing. We'll go in a little bit. I'm almost done. Oh no, nope, that brush, dag nabbit. This branch is going to be in front of that one down there. This is going to be the furthest in the back. So don't cover up this branch. I totally need to like wrap this around the canvas just a little bit better. Make sure you guys can see it too. Totally forgot this part right here, so I'm gonna quickly add in some darker greens as well. And liking how this is coming out. Can't wait to get this whole tree done. I think that's going to be like probably the most transformative of this painting is getting this tree done. Okay, I got the side pretty much done with this color green. I just got a few extra pieces down here, a few extra leaves. Also got to do these. Yeah, it's definitely starting to impact the color in the clouds in the background. I can see a lot more pinks and purples throughout this area. So like this part of the clouds are definitely feeling more pinky, like more pink. This side's still feeling a lot more orange. Even though like they're the same colors, they're absolutely the same colors. This is I feel like it's the green in the leaves have definitely brought more pinks and more purples to the forefront of the clouds in the background. I'm really liking how that's kind of looking. Color theory is such a fun, interesting thing. And it's so funny because like it feels like now that like I'm really looking at it, I could see more reds and pinks and stuff in this area. And then just like as you move down a little bit, you could just it feels more orange and yellow. Kind of stuff with color it always fascinates me. How our brains process that stuff. My husband's over there mocking me in the kitchen like he knows what I'm talking about.
No,
I hear you over there.
I was eating a donut.
You're over there laughing. I don't think the microphone can pick you up, but I can hear you. He's just over there being goofy, enjoying his donut.
You're good.
All right, I think this is a good stopping place. I got some more work done in this than I was expecting, so I'm happy with that. I appreciate everybody who stopped by, kept me company and talking, because yeah, I got a lot of leaves put into that tree. And I gotta like come out a little bit further, and it's gonna make it a little bit more bushy and full of life. So it's coming along. I'm very happy with that. So yeah. All right. I need to go get some stuff done, and I'm sure like some of you have other stuff. I will definitely be filming again on Wednesday this coming week. I'm gonna, of course, make like the schedule for it so you can see if it's gonna work for you, and if not, like I will have more lives in the future. So yeah, I appreciate everybody for stopping by. Rory, I think you're still here, and anybody else who's still here. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Have fun doing whatever you're doing. Be safe out there. Don't get lost. Don't get stolen. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye, you beautiful people. I won't forget the Vaseline. I'm going to use the Vaseline lotion. I'm going to go tell my husband you are like what you said so he knows that he's right. Anyways, bye, you beautiful people.